Now with this, it's an amputation. Now, this toy dog I've got on its back, you wouldn't necessarily have to lay it on its back. It's just purely that we're dealing with a toy here. But an amputation like this, there's lots of potential problems you can have. Sometimes with amputations, there's not always a massive amount of bleeding. And that's because, it depends how the injury has occurred, but sometimes the blood vessels can be sucked back up into the body and then the natural muscle will actually stop it. So it may well be there's less bleeding than you would expect. Or you've got an exposed artery and blood's squirting out, and this is really, really serious. So this is a really, really serious injury. We hope you never have to deal with something like this, but it's best to be prepared. So with something like this, there's other concerns. Now, one big concern is it's gone straight through the bone. And it depends what's happened. It may well be it's gone through a joint. There's lots of different variations on amputations. It may be the limb is still hanging on a bit there. So this is going to be horrendously painful for the dog. So you need to make sure you can try and keep it calm as much as you can, get other people to help you. Make sure you don't get bitten, because this dog has got no other way of telling you it's in pain. Now, the concerns you have here, blood loss, immediately life-threatening, without a doubt. The more blood's coming out, the chances of survival are dropping by the minute. Also, you've got exposed bone, infection risk. Again, major, major problem. The infection's not going to kill it straight away, so we're really treating it. But by using collar clots, it's very good because it's going to protect it to a certain extent against the infection because it's then covered. But also, bacteria and things like that are not going to be growing on this because it's a natural product. So it's quite a good thing to put over an injury. So something like this, we can take the collar clot and put over. Now the problem we have is there's bone sticking through. So with that bone coming through, then if we were to put a normal dressing straight over the top, we could end up pushing down on it. Now again, there's lots of different ways this could happen, but what you can do with this is you could just punch a hole through the middle. Put that over, so you can put that over the injury, so we're not actually directly pushing down onto the bone itself. Now that will just run round, we're holding that in place, and then we can carefully, again, we could do the same if we wanted to, just to put a hole in here. If you want to do that, the simplest way is just fold the dressing in half and just put a little slot in it, fold it in half the other way, put another little slot, and then you've got a dressing with a hole in it. So if we go back there, so we could just cover that over. If we need to pack around it a bit more, we could always fold the ends of the collar clot back up so that there's more product over where the actual injury is. And then once you've got that, we can then take the dressing and then pop that over the top to hold it all in place. And then you've got the collar clot, as much of it as possible over the injury. We've got the bone as exposed as possible to avoid pushing it in. Now, it's not going to be easy doing that, but it can be done. We can hold that in place until the collar clot has done its job and the bleeding has stopped. And then as you've now got all that in place, don't remove any of this stuff. We can then use the cohesive bandage to bandage around the outside to hold that in place and get the animal to the vets as soon as possible. Now, it depends on the size of the animal, whether you can do any of this while sitting on the seat with the animal, transporting it. But the key thing is stabilize them and then get them to the vets as quick as possible.